Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, which is brought to you by Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Simpson is known for their iconic and aggressive style, which has always stood out amongst other helmets. Simpson has been continuously supplying us with quality-built helmets that offer many different visor options, models, and finishes to fit your taste. Head on over to SimpsonMotorcycleHelmets.com where you can find out all they have for you, and give these guys a follow at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets on the gram. On today's episode, we have Mike from Born Free Show. This is the Born Free Show, the one that you hear about all the time in California and now is coming to Texas. We did a whole run down of basically the history of Born Free, how it kind of went from an idea to this massive show that we all know and love today, and the steps that it took them to come and bring it to Texas. So I truly hope to see a lot of you out there. It's going to be a great time, and you never want to miss the first event of something. So hope to see you guys out there. But before we jump into this episode, let's hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to kick this episode off. Our longest running podcast supporter, Lexin Moto, and our Bluetooth headset of choice here at the Fast Life since 2019, is still here providing you with one of the best Bluetooth headsets on the market, the G16, which I personally use on my motorcycle rides to check out everything from my favorite playlists to my favorite podcast. The battery life and sound quality is amazing on these headsets. Earlier this year, Lexin dropped the Smart Tire Pump, which became an instant everyday carry for many people on motorcycle trips. Well, now they have refined and taken the pump to new levels with the Lexin Smart Tire Pump Gen 2, which now offers an internal cooling fan, is 20% smaller in design, and can double as a portable charger while you're away from civilization. Pair these great products with some of the best customer service in the industry, and head on over to lexin-moto.com and drop the Fast Life offer code to save yourself 15% off your order. And don't forget to give these guys a follow on Instagram at Lexin Moto. If you have seen any of my personal bikes in person or on the gram over the past 6 years, you will definitely notice my ongoing support for Lucky Dave's. Their seats have always fit my ass perfectly and had the style profile I prefer in the 2-up seat game. I have ran the San Diego bars on my FXR and Dynas for years. Now I currently run the Peacemaker bar and riser series on my 2020 Road Glide. These bars are dope with many options to customize the appearance, as well as get you dialed at the right height and hand position. I would go as far to say that the Lucky Dave's riser bar is one of the most comfortable bars on the market, no matter what risers you put them in. Check out all the options for your ride at luckydaves.com and give these guys a follow to stay up on product releases and inventory restocks on the gram at Lucky Daves. Now here's Mike from the Born Free Show.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Hello.
Hey Mike, what's going on?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah. I'm going to take a second to process this and make sure all the audio sounds good on your end as well. But yeah, I think we're going to be good, man.
Okay, I have the headphones in, so hopefully it sounds a little bit better.
Yeah, it should help isolate some of the background noise and keep your voice pretty on point.
All right, I had fucking COVID all last week, so I got like a frog in my throat, and then I got this dry ass fucking hack, so I'll try to do my best not to cough into the phone. I'll try to mute it or something.
That's all good, man. Dude, I really appreciate you doing this. I know we tried our asses off to figure out another method, but, you know, it's happening. That's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure. I wish we could have did it your way, but it's all right.
Yeah, like I said, it made more sense whenever we started talking and you were like, well, let's just get it done now. That way it'll help people kind of fill in information about, you know, Born Free Texas and whatnot, and instead of doing it the week of. So
yeah, and if you have any questions about it that can get, you know, we can answer and get it out there, because people are still super confused. I mean, I get it. You know, we do kind of make a little confusing. Yellow Rose isn't helping with all the shit they got, but still people sometimes just don't know how it works, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. Well, like I said in the text message, man, I really wanted to kind of take this back and talk about like Born Free 1, you know, and just kind of like how does someone think up of, I know it wasn't started as big as it is now, but You know, like, what was it like when you started this whole situation in the parking lot in Long Beach, I think, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, the first one was in Orange.
Orange,
in a buddy's shop, like in a little complex. So that's when that started. But yeah, we can get to it. I'll tell you right now, I'm fucking horrible with years.
It's all good.
So just, we'll just, Born Free 1,
2, 3,
13
4
years ago. Yeah, like Lichter interviewed me and he asked me like year. I'm like, dude, it all blends, man. I can't remember how fucking old I am, much less what year we started, what year we did this and that. And, so we'll just, broad stroke it.
Yeah, it's fine. So, like I said, have you and Mike, you and Grant been like the sole creators of this from day one?
We're not recording right now, right? We're just shooting the shit.
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh,
but I mean, I can edit it if you need me to. So.
Yeah. Let's. I didn't know that. So now, if we could start over or whatever.
No, that's fine.
I mean, are you just going to get into it like that, or I didn't know if you had like an intro or something?
No, I put all that shit on later on.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then go ahead and just fire away, and we'll just start from here.
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to talk to you about, just the conception of Born Free 1. Like, what compelled you guys to start the first one? You know what I mean?
Well, Grant and I had only known Grant maybe like 6 months or so. We used to go to this little cafe ride thing that was, close to our houses in Costa Mesa, I think it was. And, it was like on a Sunday at a little cafe, and dudes with old bikes would show up and, it started getting some traction. And there was, 20, 30 bikes there sometimes. And we just started talking like about maybe doing a ride or even like a little show, just because it seemed like so many of our friends had old bikes and were, wanting to ride them and stuff, where you just didn't see those kind of bikes riding around the street much. So we just hatched this idea to do this show, because really at the time, there was Easy Rider shows and stuff like that. And I was going to everything, any kind of motorcycle show. I watched all the motorcycle TV shows, everything. Like, I was hooked on that stuff, regardless how stupid some of it was. I was into it.
Yeah.
So we just decided, like, hey, there's just no shows that really have the kind of bikes that we like. And at the time, I mean, we still have that down at the core, but, things have changed. It was just the vintage bikes. So, you go to a show, an Easy Rider type show, and there might be one bike, but, you go in, you pay your money, and you buy a beer and a hot dog. Next thing you know, you're $100 deep, and you saw kind of like one thing you like. So we just decided, like, hey, with all of our buddies and people that we just met, and that's kind of when the blog stuff and like Jockey Journal and some of those forums like that was just kind of popping off. There wasn't Instagram and all these Facebook groups and stuff. It was just more like just kind of getting going there. So we kind of took advantage a little bit of that. I had a blog going that was pretty popular, and people were digging it and stuff. And Grant, at the time, Harpoon, which was his partner, they had their own blog. And we just started, posting this idea. We made a little flyer that we were going to do this show. And we picked Classic Cycles in Orange, which is a little Triumph shop. And there's some buddies that I used to go in there all the time. And then a couple doors down was this Circle City Hot Rods, which was a really close friend to Grant, named Jimmy White. Now we're all really good friends, but at the time I didn't know Jimmy very well. We just decided, like, hey, let's have this little show thing right here in the parking lot. Yeah. So Harpoon, who's a painter, he's a builder and stuff, really cool dude. He was partners with Grant at the time, and he whipped up some artwork for us, and he's like a screen printer. So we had some stuff that helped a lot just to get it kicked off. Like, we went and printed our own shirts, and, we had a creative guy on board, which, when you don't have that and you're trying to find somebody and pay for it, it's hard.
It's a bitch, yeah.
You know how that goes. So luckily we had him, and we just hatched this little idea in about 30 days. It was like maybe late July, early August. I want to say it was 2009. And then we had the show in September, like early September. In fact, I just had my fourth kid at the time, and all my kids were there. My wife was there I think the baby was only like, I don't know, 2 weeks old.
Damn.
And it was like, 100 something degrees, it's SoCal, summertime gets pretty hot, and we were, in a parking lot. But anyway, that's how it started. And we had, we were putting the stuff out on the blogs and some of these forums, and like, unbeknownst to us, like, a lot of dudes came from other areas. There was actually a bunch of dudes from Chicago and Minneapolis, and just random dudes that, you kind of dealt with them a little bit on the internet, but never in person. And we're like, whoa, man. I mean, like, this is weird. People are here from other states. Like, I just thought it would be a little local deal. And we had a really good turnout. You know, we gave away free beer. We did some cool vintage trophies, and we had some, food and beer and all that. It was all free. So it was cool. People were digging it. And we had about 500 people show up. Damn. And about 100 motorcycles that were kind of parked in and around the complex. I know there was a lot more out on the road. I never really got out there, but I heard later that, there were several hundred bikes out on the road. So it kind of just started from there.
Would you say that, like, at that time frame, there wasn't really much representation of the vintage, chopper movement or scene anywhere else? Like, because most of the magazines were still focused on, like, the bobbers and the TV chopper era, and then the big wheel baggers coming around in that time frame. So would you say that your kind of genre, that genre of bikes, it didn't really have much of an outlet for shows or publications and things like that to kind of get out there?
Like Dice and Greasy Culture and stuff, they were happening at that time. So there were things that people started to see. But what we noticed, and at the time, I'm old now, but, it was a younger group. Yeah. So usually, you'd see an old dude, cruising around the area we lived on every blue moon on an old bike, panhead, knucklehead, shovelhead, whatever. Yeah. And you just be like, wow, cool. But there wasn't this younger group of people, it's even younger now, but, in 20s to 30s, let's say, that were really getting into it.
Yeah.
So we certainly were not the first, but like I said, and you had mentioned the TV shows and stuff really focused a lot more on a different kind of bike. And the shows certainly really were, there's like a lot of lowrider bikes going on at the time, which I still like, some more performance stuff, even though it wasn't as crazy as it is now. And, you'd see like you said, a bobber, which, who knows what the hell that is. And then, one or two cool old bikes. And it was just like, man, I think, with just the reach we have, the people we know, and just the guys we met in the last 6 months, we probably could just throw together a fun little easygoing show and have a good turnout with some neat bikes. And it turned out, like I said, we had some insane bikes, like some, in this space, some bikes that still are people talk about to this day were at that show. And then there were some guys that actually built bikes to bring to the show, which was, blew us away. And that was not a focus at the time. I think like Max Schaff from Oakland, which was bizarre. I didn't know Max personally really, but, dealt with him a little bit on the internet and stuff. Cause he had a really cool blog and still does. And kind of, he showed up with this bitchin' bike and, he's like, man, I built this for your show. Or I put it, maybe he was putting it together at the time, but he brought it there and showed it for the first time. And it was like, you just started to think, wow, I mean, this is pretty cool. Like, this guy's a professional skateboarder. Yeah. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like, we didn't know really what we were doing. Like, I had a little Triumph at the time, and I think I might have just got a panhead, but it wasn't on the road. And, I still don't know what I'm doing. But back then, I really didn't. It was just more like, man, some of these cooler dudes are showing up with some really bitchin' stuff. And I was a student of old bikes. I mean, I really like them, and I dove right in. I didn't have any history, no uncles or dad that was bikers or any. I didn't see that shit. But once I saw some of those bikes a few years before that show, it just hooked me.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And Grant, same way.
You could also say, I mean, if because I was kind of at the time that Born Free 1 took place, I was really heavy into art in general, and a lot of tattoo culture, art, and that stuff was kind of going on. The whole like rockabilly, pinup model. There's a big fucking resurgence of that taking place across the country. But it seemed like the next wave that kind of like got everybody was vintage everything, from the Vans to the bikes to the way people dress, and now they want all these older style. Just anything, you know what I mean? And it seemed like the perfect, like, complete cultural shift in a demographic of people. So,
no, exactly. And, luckily we were in Southern California where, that stuff really originated. And excuse me, grew. So we were lucky. I mean, obviously we put a lot of work into it, but we did. It was the perfect time, right? It was just right for it. Like you said, I mean, we had been into cars even before I wasn't friends with Grant. Like, I had old cars since I was, 12, 13 years old. I'd always wanted an old car, got one, messed around with it. And then when I moved out to Southern California, it's like, your mind gets blown because you go to Pomona and swap meets and car shows, and you're like, there's thousands of these things everywhere. I grew up in Fresno, where there was a pretty good car culture, but nothing like that. So I'd been going to car shows, and you'd see an old bike or an old Triumph around and be like, oh man, that thing's so cool. Wasn't the focus of the show, but it was out there. So I think we had it probably a little bit easier than if you were in somewhere that just there weren't people with that kind of stuff.
Oh,
a couple guys maybe. So we definitely got lucky early on, but man, it just hit me hard, and Grant felt the same way, and it was just like, I couldn't stop thinking about old bikes.
I would kind of say, like, I'm thinking kind of out of my ass here, but I would kind of say that because of the show, because of people seeing it and then wanted to eventually become a part of it, I think that's what also helped kind of push it across the country as well. Somebody that heard about it because they're tapped into that kind of underground scene. They come to it and they bring this culture back to the Midwest or the East Coast, which I'm sure the East Coast had their own vibe too. Like being around Indy and Larry's, block party and all those guys up there. I mean, they always have this kind of vibe as well, if that makes sense, like the vintage chopper thing, but they never went too crazy with the big fat tires and the wildness that was some of the TV stuff. But yeah, if that makes any sense.
For sure. No, for sure. I mean, we were just right on the fringe of that, I became friends with Chica, and he was at Huntington Beach, and, he was on some of those shows.
Yep.
And, there were a few guys like him and Shinya and even Johnny Chop, when he was alive, was working with Chica. They were right there, vintage inspired, doing some cool stuff, still a little bit modern and everything. But, that really started to get people's interest when they saw guys like that staying away from the big, super big fat tire stuff and the really TV type, type bikes. And you started seeing those. And I think that, again, that caught a lot of people's interest, and we just, hit it just right. But yeah, you're right. I feel like, we've tried to stay humble with the thing. We still don't, as big as it is, we still treat it like, Born Free 1 or 2. It's just a lot more work. We're still as passionate about these bikes, and trends have changed and I've changed, but still love it down deep,
Yeah, for sure. The other thing you had mentioned early on was about how, like, you guys were on these blogs and things like that. And like you said, it was before kind of Instagram. And if you really think back to it, it's kind of before we were doing this stuff on our phones. I mean, I guess when the iPhone first came out, people, the app concept started coming around, and, I think Facebook was one of the earliest social media apps along with Twitter. But, the blog situation was still kind of like a great place to get the down low information about what's going on in scenes and what's, what I mean? It's a good place of information, but
yeah, the blogs were cool. I mean, unfortunately they don't really work well with the phone. So that was the nail in the coffin for the blogs, is that people are too lazy to get on a computer or a laptop or a big pad or whatever and see the blog, because that's kind of where I cut my teeth. Like, I started this Born Loser blog, and I just made it up one day and started posting crazy pictures and naked chicks and, like, vintage stuff, not like hardcore porn or anything, but you could do that on a blog, where obviously you can't do that on Instagram. So it was kind of like a catch-all, everything. I had old cars, old bikes, stuff I was selling, like I said, some naked chicks, midgets, weird shit. I mean, it was just like a fun kind of like Stag magazine kind of thing. And I wasn't the only one doing it. I was really into it. And then I started posting stuff for sale, and I started posting other people's stuff for sale. They'd hit me up because there was no Instagram like that. Say, hey man, can you put this up for sale? And what it did was I got exposed to a lot of cool stuff, and I got access to buy a lot of cool stuff, because they imagine if you had an Instagram thing and everybody's sending it to you first, like whatever you're into, and then you have a chance to buy all that shit, and resell it or whatever. So that's what I was doing. And then started making t-shirts and stuff, which, kind of caught on at the time. Everybody was doing shirts, and had some fun graphics and stuff. And Grant and Harpoon were doing the same thing with their brand, Freedom Machinery and Accessories. So that's actually how the name Born Free came together. Is I was trying to think of a name, and I took the Born out of Born Loser and the Free out of Freedom Machinery. We just called it Born Free.
Nice. was a fitting name, man.
A lot of people think, I was born free because it was free to attend, which it was for the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Everything was free. So, I mean, and that was a lot of fun. And people still, razz us and give a shit over, I remember when it was free and all this stuff. It's like, well, dude, I do too, and I wish it was. Unfortunately, when the sheriffs drop a $25,000 bill on you, you can't have a free show anymore.
Yeah.
And the cost of everything is just, even before now, the last few years, it's gone way up. And, we start adding stuff, as and, it just adds up. But that's how the name came about. It was not anything to do with a free show or anything like that. Obviously, like you said, it fit well, and the whole freedom thing with the bikes and stuff kind of made sense. And it just caught on.
Yeah, for some weird reason I associate the phrase "born free," it just automatically makes me think of the Easy Rider movie with the what was it, the Captain America bike. I just automatically have a scene of that playing in my head when I see that word. I don't know why it's so synonymous to it. So.
No, it does. I mean, it's a pretty catchy word, and if you're really into bikes or the culture or whatever, like it does kind of hit home with certain people and make you kind of feel a certain way. And that was the whole concept of the show. When it was free, is this whole free thing and riding and all that. And even when we moved it to where we are now, it's a really good ride out there, and you kind of you just get that sense of freedom. It's corny as it is, it's still true. Well,
there's also a draw to it now. I mean, there's so many people in California that attend that show, but it's become a destination for a lot of, especially younger bikers across America that want to attend something like that, where it's still more intimate than going to Sturgis or a Daytona. You know what I mean? But it has that kind of hype level of both of those.
Yeah, for sure. The younger people have definitely caught on to it. And I mean, which is great. I mean, if the younger people aren't into motorcycles, it's going to go, they're going to end at some point. So it's good that, girls, guys, young people are into bikes, and they want the lifestyle. They like riding and camping and doing all that fun stuff, which you can do on a bike. So, again, and we are lucky to be in Southern California because people do want to come up until maybe this year. It is a good ride. It's a good destination. I mean, we've met so many people that have never even been to California before, never been to the beach or anything. They come to the show. They're like, man, I went down to the beach and jumped in the ocean. Like, I'm from Ohio. I don't even know what, never even seen the ocean before. So, I mean, there's all those stories, and we've heard them all, which, makes us feel good. It's like, oh man, this thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I bring people to SoCal for the first time on a bike, man, it's a whole vibe. It's like, okay, we got to do this. I got to take you down Sunset, and we're going to continue through Bel Air onto the fucking PCH down there. It's like a whole thing. I got the whole thing I do for everybody, like a almost like a escort service. But no, that's for sex, right? No, like a what do you call it? Like, fuck, I don't know what the word is. I just like chauffeur people around, like have them follow me on bikes or whatever the fucking word is. I don't know. But hey, the other thing I was wondering, so like the growth of this show, I mean, like you said, the first 5 years, was free. Is that whenever at 5 years, is that when you took it out of the parking lot, or when did you have to start like literally getting a venue that could house the bikes and the people and whatnot?
We did that at Born Free 3. So Born Free 1, we had it in Orange, and like I said, in the guys' shops in their complex, little industrial complex. I mean, it was small. Mm-hmm. And then Born Free 2, we had it people call it Long Beach, but it was really Signal Hill. Same thing. Mm-hmm. We had it in the street, so we went like block party style.
Yeah. And
that was what we really like put us on the map. That's what people to this day still say Born Free 2 was the best one. Mm-hmm. It was pretty wild. I mean, I can imagine. We had a lot more people. I mean, there's probably like 5,000 people there. We didn't have any rules, so there was tons of club guys and stuff, and everybody got along great. There was zero issues. I mean, every club you could imagine was floating around, and it was all out in the road. Mm-hmm. We had to close down a city street, which I realized, I didn't know at the time how hard that was, but save you all the details. But it was a nightmare to do that, and I had to learn a lot. I had to sit in like city planners meetings and come up with all traffic plans and all this stuff. I had no idea how that worked, so I just basically put on like a shirt and a tie, went to these meetings and faked it. I made a little like a clipboard full of crap and printed off some stuff about what it is, and kind of lied and fooled and got it to go down. we didn't even get our permit until like the Friday before the show, which was really scary. But the show went off great. I mean, like I said, tons of bikes, cars, people, all on the street having fun. You know, we gave away 5,000 cans of beer, which, you know, at the time we didn't know was illegal, but we did all that. So it was just, you know, we had a taco lady there that was free. I mean, she fed like 2,000 people.
Wow.
So it was just like a big, fun, like block party. I mean, I don't even remember half of it, but it was a blast. And then, you know, we were cleaning up at the end of the day, and the cops came by, and, you know, they were like, man, we thought something was going to happen. You know, there was a lot of clubs here, a lot of people here, way too many, you know, way more than you said and all this stuff. But they're like, everything went great. It was fantastic. They're like, you know, hopefully you do, you know, we want you to do it again. We cleaned up the streets. Everything looked perfect. And then when we went back to apply again to do it, you know, that was first show was in September. Then we went to early June with Born Free 2. Mm-hmm. And then we were going to try to do it again. And they said, absolutely not. No way.
Wow.
So we're like, what happened? You know, like cops said that everything was cool. Like, I know there was no fights. Everything was good. And the city just said, absolutely not. They gave us a bad report. So we had to find a new spot.
Wow.
And then the Oak Canyon, where we are now, used to have a lot of concerts out there, and they still do stuff, but they had a rockabilly show. It's slipping my mind right now what it's called, but it was a big deal. Like all the big bands were out there, you know, like Social D, that kind of vibe. And they had bikes and cars and stuff. And it got really rowdy. And I think that's what actually ended up closing it down, because there was just too many fights and too much crazy shit. But the good thing for us is that it was gone, and we got to go in there. We didn't know the owner at the time. I mean, we're really good friends now. I mean, really, really close to the guy now, but you know, we filled out paperwork, told him what we wanted to do. He was all in on it. And then the Long Beach PD called him because he was checking references, and they were like, oh man, you know, you don't want that event, because, you know, it's clubs and bikers and drinking and weed. It's before weed was legal and all this shit, which was like, we didn't hear any of that. So I had to convince him to let us do it, but he said the only way that he would let us do it is if the Orange County Sheriff worked the event, which, you know, we didn't know you had to hire cops or anything at the time. So anyway, we ended up doing it. We hired them. Everything went good. And that's where we started at Born Free 3 out of Oak Canyon. We're still there.
Nice. Yeah. So, you know, like as this thing was growing and you were going through these struggles of like, facilitating the venue, going from the parking lot to the block party and now to Oak Canyon, like, did you ever get discouraged in any of this and feel like, man, this shit isn't worth it, or did you foresee it continuing to grow this big, or like? No,
I mean, yeah, we didn't. Honestly, it was like, and even till this day, we always say, like, if it stops being fun or too much shit's going on, we'll just stop it.
Yeah,
we'll just stop. I mean, even the last one we just had in June, Born Free 13, that was one of the hardest shows we've had. Why, I don't know. You'd think we'd be dialed by now. I think maybe just because all the COVID shit for the last few years, you just don't have people to work, and all the services are backed up and don't know how to do anything. But that was one of the hardest ones. But we didn't expect it to grow the way it did. And you know, I like, and Grant too, just coming up with ideas, right? So when it's your own show, you could go, okay, well, what would I want? If I was going to a show, what would I want to see? You know, if I was going here, what would I want to do? What would I want to pay? What would I want to eat, drink, all that? So everything that basically goes down at the show since day one is, you know, our decisions, from the food to, you know, the cost of what they sell the beer for, to all that stuff. We try to be mindful. You know, it doesn't always work, but we do our best to be mindful, which takes a lot of time and energy and effort. You know, some promoters and not bike related, let's just say it's car show, like they throw out a date, $25 to get in, $20 for a beer, $10 for a hot dog. They don't give a shit. It costs what it costs, and, you know, come and they collect a check at the end of the day. Grant and I do all the heavy lifting, all the work, all the planning. We don't have a team of people. I mean, we do have some really good close family and friends that help us, but it's just him and I. There's no, you know, 20 people that are working for us doing all this shit. So, you know, we try to make sure that everything that gets done out there is the way we would want to see it. That's why we invented the grass pass thing and all that, where, being on an old bike or now even on a new bike, what's the worst thing you do at a show when you're pulling up? Well, you turn your bike off, take your helmet off, you get out and pay, then you go back to your bike and the thing won't start. It's too hot or something. So we said, let's put this thing, let's come up with an idea of like this, once we started to charge folks, this pass that just, you bypass all the lines, you don't take off your helmet, you don't get off your bike, you show your wristband or whatever it was at the time, you roll right in, and then you're park on the grass and you're done, right? There is none of that stuff. So that was one thing early on that we just thought like would be cool, and it's actually worked out really well. And we continue to do it to this day.
Yeah, that's also the same concept that where you could say a lot of shows, sometimes the parking lot itself is another show. And so I feel like the grass pass kind of brings that also into the show for the people to check out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, anybody that's got a grass pass is basically part of the show. I mean, we sell 3,000 each day in California, Saturday and Sunday. There's 3,000, and we kind of did the math on how many we could fit in the show because we want as many bikes as we can get in the show. We've even cut back on vendors and other stuff to get more motorcycles in there because it is a motorcycle show, and it's not, we don't want to just have the 100, 300 vendors selling whatever and 30 bikes. So, but yeah, you're right. Out in the parking lot, that's a whole nother animal. I didn't realize how big that was out there till like Born Free 5. I think it was 5, which is the year we had the gnarly weather. It was 105 degrees, and I had to go out in the parking lot because some guys blocked her in, and she had to go pick up her kid, and this long story. So she came up to the booth, and they found us, and I had to go out there and try to move bikes. Well, all the necks were locked. They were all like baggers and big Dynas and bikes, and I was like, oh shit. And then I got out there, and I was like a mile out there, and I looked back toward the venue, and I just was like, I almost passed out. I was like, holy shit, there is a sea of motorcycles out here that I had no idea existed. Yeah. Because I had never really been out there. We're so busy inside the show running around that I had no clue what was going on out in the parking lot. And when I went out there and I saw that shit, I was like, holy shit, this is nuts. Yeah. And it's still busy to this day out there. It's nuts out there.
This was my first year kind of being a part of like with vendors there. And so I showed up before like the gates were open, bringing a bike in there to set up at different vendor spaces. And so I can see how like if you're working the show, you have no idea what's going on that road above you or the big ass parking lot. So it's just out of sight, out of mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people get there. They don't know. Like what you said, you go out front when all those riders are coming in. I mean, that's a lot of motorcycles. And then the ones that don't have grass passes that are going in the lot, that's a lot of bikes. And then you throw in the cars and everything else. I mean, people roll in, up until like 3-4 o'clock, and most people stay all day. We do try to keep them there all day because we got a lot of stuff going on with all the other little things that we do, the bands and the shows within the show and giveaways and awards and all that. So that's the one cool thing is that if you come to Born Free, you don't just, roll up, hang out an hour, unless you really have something to do and then leave. So we keep them, most folks stay all day, which is great. Our vendors do really well that way, because people are shopping and we're giving them plenty to do and see with all the stuff we talked about, the skateboarding with vans and the bands and, all the award stuff and the FXR show and all the cool little things that go on inside the event, Wall of Death and stuff. So, there's plenty for them to do, and I feel they get their money's worth.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, all day long for $20 if you're just a regular participant. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. For over 50 years, the Ness family has provided us with top quality custom motorcycle parts. And today's product line is better than ever, offering you products to enhance your motorcycle's performance and the overall look of your bike. With 12 different categories of custom air cleaners, Arlen Ness has a filter that will fit your budget and or your taste. I'm currently running the Method air cleaner on my 20 Road Glide, along with their one-of-a-kind Method No Flex front fork legs and bagger fork guards, which allow me to show off my Arlen Ness gold fork tubes. It's really sick. From custom handlebars and rims to bodywork and foot controls, head on over to arlenness.com to start getting the parts you need to enhance your motorcycle experience. And as an added bonus to Ness's well-stocked product line, you can use offer code in all caps, FASTLIFE10, to save yourself 10% on your purchases. And it's always free shipping on orders over $100. And lastly, give these guys a follow on the gram at Arlen S Motorcycles. When was the invited builder concept brought to the table on Born Free?
It was either 3 or 4. Like I told you, I'm terrible with dates, but I'm pretty sure it was Born Free 4. So Born Free 2, we did a giveaway bike. We decided, hey man, what if we got this, panhead or whatever, and gave it away. So we did that, and it worked great. It was fun, and everybody was stoked on it. So that's how we started the giveaway thing. That carried on to 3, and then I want to say 4. We decided, like, hey, what if we try to find guys that would actually want to build a motorcycle for the show, and then we would try to highlight them and stuff. Again, this is way before Instagram still, so you didn't have that platform of just throwing up builders and bikes and stuff. Yeah. But we wanted to do it because we we're getting good traction. People were coming, but we wanted to try to encourage the do-it-yourself crowd, who these people were and our friends were, to build a bike and then put them a little bit on a platform or a stage and give them some credit, and make it about them. So we started doing the invited builder thing. Like I said, I want to say 4, and it worked out really well. We had guys from all over the place, from New York to Colorado to even other countries and stuff. And that's still going good to this day. I mean, we've had some ups and downs through that. We've learned a lot. We had to be a little harsh on some of the stuff, like, showing up on time and, all that kind of stuff, because we were trying to run a good program and make sure that everybody had a fair shake. And so anyway, we learned, we basically taught ourselves how to do that. And, we held kind of a hard line a few years and realized, okay, that may not be the right way. So let's figure out another way. And I'd say since probably like Born Free 7, everything's been fairly smooth. Yeah.
How would you, this might be a tough question to answer, but how would you say that, like, you build the criteria that you guys want for a builder? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's always on the other end of it. I know how hard it is for you guys to run a show and find the kind of builders that you need, or that just whatever the word is that I'm trying to describe. But how, because everybody gets butthurt when it's not them as a builder. I deserve this or I deserve that, so, help me out with that one. Like, how do you guys?
And we've had that. Trust me. We've had guys furious, like, first of all, we don't know everybody. Yeah. I mean, that's number one. And we ask, tons of people, like, hey, anybody build anything cool? Anybody that no one knows about that's like building some cool shit in his garage or has a little shop or whatever. So, I mean, we do ask. We've been doing that since, Born Free 4, at trying to get to know people and ask. And we go to we were going to all the shows. I mean, we went to the Mama Trides, we go to Japan, we went to all the swap meets. So we work we promote our event at all these other things, right? So that was the other good thing, that we were like a street team. So we would go to swap meets. Born Free was set up. People, we'd meet people, talk to them. And we met a lot of folks that, didn't know about the show, and start talking to them, asking them questions. Hey, you know anybody? Got an uncle? You got anybody that builds bikes? So, we started doing that, and then of course the internet and Instagram and stuff, you see dudes doing cool stuff. But the main thing is, we do ask a lot of people, and some people say no. They say, hey, I can't do it. And I always appreciate it when people say no. Yeah. Because I feel like they're being real. Because a lot of people will say yes to anything. And I will tell you right now, this is not easy. And it's not the end result per se, like, oh man, I built this knucklehead and everybody dropped dead. It was so cool. It's stressful. It costs a shitload of money. It's a lot of work to really do it. And now the pressure's on more than ever. In the early days, the pressure really wasn't there. But as these guys get better, and girls, we've had a girl get better, and people are going for it a lot more, it does become a lot more stressful. And then some guys think, oh man, I can't do this because this guy just made this, shovel head into a spaceship. We don't even know how it works. The thing's levitating off the ground, and I got a, Sportster that in a MIG welder in my garage. But we still have a lot of people like that, and we want those people. Yeah. I always say this, there's a lot of guys out there with a shitload of talent that can do anything, weld, fabricate, all that stuff. But to me, style still trumps.
I agree 100%.
Technique, right?
Yeah.
So if you got good style, to me, I mean, we've had builders that are very, hand tools, grinder, shit welder, whatever, but they have good style and, get the bike looking good and they bring it out and it does well. So we don't have any criteria on like, oh, we're trying to find this nut, professor guy. We've had those guys that can do crazy shit. We just want to have people that, number one, we can get along with, want to be there, want to have fun, want to be part of the process, because it is more than just building a bike and showing up at an event.
Yeah.
We with the invited builder thing, we do a lot on social. We try to promote these guys. We try to do build alongs. We try to get them to post their work, concepts, drawings, ideas, whatever, and build this thing, because there's a lot of people that can't come to the show.
Yeah.
And we've heard over the years, probably just like you, I never met you in person, like, some of the builder videos that we did early on, which were a lot of fun, and just putting their stuff out there. People live through these builders and like, oh man, I love that bike. I can't go. I'm in the military. I'm stationed overseas, but I'm following along, whoever it might be, building some bike, and it's just speaking to them.
Man.
So that stuff is important to us. Like, people building motorcycles is what we want, and no knock to any other shows, because they're all great in their own right, and we love them. We've been to a lot of them, but I feel like we're really the only one that's trying to get people, it's probably stupid on our part. These other guys are way smarter. All they do is invite people with done bikes.
Yeah.
The pressure's off. The bike's done.
Yeah.
I've been invited to shows like, hey, Mike, you want to bring your whatever to Mama Tried? Yeah, cool, man, bitching. I had the best time of my life. They're great dudes and party, and it's bitching. But like, to have somebody get, 8, 9, 10 months, 6 months, whatever it is, have to build a bike from scratch. It has to run no matter what the internet tells you or what these people tell you online about these bikes don't run. That's BS. In the early days, we did have some challenges getting those bikes running, but I'd say in the last 4 or 5 years, I'd say 1 or 2 bikes didn't run, and it wasn't anything that the builder did. It was just like, hey, fired it up and motor went sideways, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of pressure for these people to build these bikes, but that's what we love. We want people to build motorcycles. I mean, it's great that they're building it for our show, but even you don't have to be an invited builder to build a motorcycle and bring it to the show.
Yeah.
I mean, we've picked guys out of the crowd. We met, some kid comes up to us, hey, are you Mike? Are you great? Yeah. Well, dude, look at this Sportster I built, come check it out, check it out. It's like, oh, dude, that thing's so killer. Next year he comes back, he's got a pan hit, that's leaps and bounds better, or where he's at, maybe financially. He's like, dude, I want to build this. I want to be a builder. Like, all right, man, you're in, let's do it next year. Like, let's do it. I mean, we found tons of builders that way.
Yeah.
And like I said, you don't have to have some special skill set. You don't have to be, super talented with all that stuff. If you have the drive to do it, the want to do it, the love, we can all get along, because that's really what we want. We want it to be fun and easy, and we want to try to promote these guys or girls the best we can, and we want them to come to the show and have a blast. I always tell them, being a builder, 20% of it is the show.
Mm-hmm.
The other 80% is when we just announced, which we just did the other day for Born 314. From then, so let's say October 1 to the day before the show starts, that's the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to, by posting your work, by talking it up, showing everybody, there's way more people that are going to get eyes on your bike and what you're doing and who you are, what you're about, than at the show. They come to the show, they lose their minds. There's so much shit going on. There's girls walking around in bikinis and G-strings and tattooed chicks and beer and all that crazy shit. Like, it's tough to focus and concentrate on a small little group of bikes. I mean, we do get, a lot of people looking at those bikes, but even for us, half the time I don't even digest what I've seen until like 3 months later.
Yeah.
A guy will be like, hey, did you notice that my clutch was also my brake? And I'm like, no, I had no idea. I mean, and I try to look at motorcycles. I'm like, dude, I had no idea. He's like, well, I tried to show you, but you're so busy. I'm like, that's why we need you to post this shit.
Yeah.
Show what you're doing, because people think like, oh, I'm going to build this crazy bike secretively. in my basement, and then I'm gonna come born free and blow people away. That rarely happens.
I'll tell you my story.
That rarely happens.
I'll tell you my story. It kind of goes in with just everything you're saying right now, and a little bit about what you said before. So when that 21 Days Under the Sky came out, or Sun, I forget, I had just done a road trip to San Francisco, and on my way back, it just dropped on Netflix. I think it wasn't even supposed to. It was just an accident on something like that. But I watched that, and I was like, and of course, I'm admitting I did it on a big wheel bagger at the time. This was 2016. And I saw that, and I was like, that looks way funner to do that on older style bikes or something skinny or small. And then the next thing I found was the 6 Over documentary from Dice. And then that had like, I want to say I remember it had like hints of Born Free in there, of like one of the events that you guys had done together. And that's my all-time favorite, like motorcycle, air quotes, documentary thing. I've watched it 100 times, right? And so I decided to do an FXR because I don't know when y'all started bringing San Diego Customs involved to the event. But, I had lines on FXRs, and I'm kind of in a nice community here in Texas with a lot of really great FXR guys. So it was an easier transition to get into FXRs than it was to get into full vintage choppers. You know what I'm saying? For me, at least. And I built my FXR for the FXR show there, rode it to San Francisco and then down, and, posted the whole time. And the amount of people that came up to me because they saw the posts that I was doing of the bike being built, being painted, riding it across country, all the problems I had on it, and then finally being there at that show. Like, I still have friends that I met in the fucking like long line to get into the show. You know what I'm saying? From that 2017 Born Free that I went to. And so in a sense, a lot of this has changed my career path and trajectory as well, kind of because of a couple documentaries on TV and your show existing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, that's really the thing. I think, you got to just kind of let go and just be in it and just like want to do it. Like, it doesn't matter where you are financially. If you're just scrapping together some Honda, you could still do it, have fun, come to the show, you ride it in with your friends. They could all be on knuckleheads. And that's the other thing that we do. People ask us all the time. They're like, hey, why don't you separate the new bikes from the old bikes? I'm like, man, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to, if a guy's got a BMW, whatever, and this dude's riding a Honda Rebel, and this guy's got a knucklehead, and the other guy's got a bagger, and they're all buddies, I'm not going to separate them.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. So the one cool thing about the ride-in portion too, which just kind of ties it all together, is that you could ride in your shit box, whatever you think it is just junk, and you could park right next to some dude you think is the coolest motherfucker on the internet, and you're parked right next to him. You know what I mean? Like, there is no like, hey, you go over here. Yeah. And you park that thing over there because, this guy doesn't want to be near you. So, like, it just makes all these people, on the internet, makes people think other guys are famous. Dude, everybody's the same. This, followers 100%. And all that bullshit. It's all fake. I got more followers that don't even have a post and, aren't even real probably than real people. So, all that shit, you throw it all out the window. You come to the show. Have fun, be open-minded, meet some people. Like you said, we've had weddings at the show. We've had people that met their chick at the show. Now they're married with kids, all kind of, lifelong friends. I mean, all my friends now, for the most part, I'd say, 90% of them are people that I met through motorcycling.
Nice.
Going to shows or our show or whatever. Even some of the builders that we've had, I've become, like best friend. I mean, they're like great friends. Mm-hmm. We all have a common interest, but it brings people together. Like you say, that's really what I'm getting at, is that if you just say, fuck it, don't buy into all the hype on the internet and think this guy's a dickhead, you never even met him, or this guy's a tough guy because he talks a different way. Like, when you're in person, it's a whole different thing. And that's the other thing too, knock on wood, is we've never had a fight or an arrest. 13 years going.
That's good.
There may have been times it was close. Who knows? Yeah. But I feel like when people come to the show, they want to have fun. They want to see this shit. They want to, whatever you're into. If you're into baggers, if you're into FXRs, if you're into old choppers, you're into whatever, it's all there for you. And that's the other reason why we kind of transitioned into kind of every kind of bike versus just the vintage stuff, is because what people ride dictates what you do, right? And as I got older, And, I've got kids, I got grown kids. Now it's like, man, when I got my Panhead, I try to go to all these shows on my Pan. Dude, I broke down I never made it to a show on my Panhead, ever.
Yeah.
And then one day I got a Dyna and I rode it on a ride, and then went to a show, and I was like, holy shit, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
I made it. I didn't break down. I was listening to music in my fucking headset, and like I got off, ate lunch, got back on, bike started. I made it. And then I just started thinking like, shit, there's life other than vintage choppers, and then, like you got into FXRs and stuff, which I still love all that stuff. I mean, to me, an FXR is just like today's chopper. It's like a chopper from the 70s and today is an FXR.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Dudes are doing the exact same shit. They're either, stripping them down or putting cool shit on them. They're skinny, they're tall, they're fast, or whatever. I mean, it's basically a chopper.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chip from San Diego Custom was the one to kind of mentioned that one time, and it kind of stuck with me. And he's absolutely right. And the cool thing is a lot of the vintage guys who were really hating on the newer stuff, a lot of them got into FXRs and even into Dynas, which kind of just bridged the gap for us, where we didn't have to feel like we were, selling out, or, oh God, it was a vintage show. Now all of a sudden there's all these new bikes. It just kind of brought the whole community together.
What I feel like noticed, what I feel like I noticed is like a lot of the Dynas and FXR guys and the chopper guys, they partied the same. They were in the same shit, like the same style of stuff. It's just one had a different bike than the other. So I felt like the convergence of these two was an easy mesh. You know what I mean? It felt like you were in this, like you didn't feel like you were out of place, if that makes sense. That's how I felt my first Giddy Up. That's how I felt on my first Born Free, and all these type of events,
Yeah, and I mean it's like customizing either of those platforms, old or those kind of bikes you're talking about. It's almost the same thing, right? It's handlebars and risers and seats and tires and stuff. And when you get a brand new bike, although now they're doing crazy shit, which I love, seeing somebody take a brand new, $30,000-$40,000 bike and just build the whole thing over. I mean, which it didn't really used to happen before as much. It was just like get shit chromed out, he chrome his whole bike or get a paint job. Now it's like, the second they get a brand new bike, the thing's ripped apart. So it's the same feeling, it's the same personalization, freedom, whatever you want to call it, when you do that to an old bike and you get it all painted up the way you like it, and the high sissy bars, whatever it is you're into. Same thing with these other bikes. And I just feel like really the FXR and that vibe enabled us to transform this thing into what it is today, morph it in, and everybody gets along with it, and it's cool. If you don't like performance baggers, you still could come to the show and have a blast and see as many old bikes as you'll ever want to see.
Yeah.
And if you're into performance baggers and you don't even know what a knucklehead is, you're going to come and you're going to see all the cool performance shit and all the people, all the vendors that deal with that kind of stuff, yourself included. Like, you can see all that, and it blends really well. It's like everything kind of goes together now, where when I was telling you early on about the shows I went to and I wasn't feeling it, like now I just feel like, wow. And maybe it's just because I'm older and grown, but I just feel like the show, and other people's shows too, not just us. It just feels like, man, no matter what you got there, if it's cool, it's cool, and people will like it. Yeah,
for sure. That's kind of what I've felt like is kind of like the Born Free is kind of like the SEMA for our kind of motorcycle scene. It's not like the SEMA for having like people unveiling new parts or whatever, but just the variety of styles of bikes and the vendors that are there, it kind of gives you this whatever you're into kind of vibe. Or maybe you would like to get into this. Here's an option for you. You know what I mean? The other thing I wanted to ask you, just because we're kind of moving along here with the time frame, I know you guys dealt with a lot during COVID. So how was it? And how stressful was it going through COVID in SoCal? What was the state of the show? Like, was there any worried about it being able to exist still? Like, how did that all transpire?
Yeah, I mean, that was rough for everybody. When all that stuff hit, I was probably like a lot of people thinking, this shit's going to blow over quick, right? Like, it's America. I mean, I know all this stuff happened overseas at first. I don't remember where it started, Italy or somewhere, and shit was crazy. But I'm like, dude, we're in America. Like, they'll figure this shit out. We're not going to cancel the show. So the COVID stuff happened like February 2020, you know, our show's in June. And I'm like, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I was telling people we'll be fine. You know, we had already taken our sponsor money, which we have the best sponsors on earth, and no one asked for the money back. I mean, we honored it obviously the following year, but they were fantastic and they got it. And we sold quite a bit of passes. We didn't sell out. We stopped selling the grass passes once we were getting a little, you know, inclination that, oh shit, this might be bad and it might last. So what we did was I think it was around April 1st, we decided to postpone the show. We just said, hey, it ain't happening in June. There's no way. We moved it to August. And obviously June came and went. August came and went. We couldn't have the show. So, you know, it was like, oh, man, what do we do? Luckily, I think people know us because, again, we did the legwork. We were at the swap meets. We sold passes to people and tickets to people and T-shirts to people. It wasn't all this online thing or just, you know, no one knows who the promoters are because they don't, you know, you might see them at the show but nowhere else. We went to everything and did everything. So I think that helped us. People were like, oh man, I know Mike and Grant, dude, they ain't gonna rip us off, you know, like we're good. So like even the amount of passes we sold, and it wasn't that many because we put a halt to it. We basically honored those. We tried to honor everything we could. Obviously some stuff fell through the cracks. When we did finally do our makeup date, we went back to June in 2021. Unfortunately, COVID was still around and California was still all jammed up. So we moved it to August again, but we did get to have it in August. So we did have it in August. It did go down. So technically we missed a full year, but anybody who bought a grass pass or, one of our tickets for the giveaway bikes, we honored that where we could. If they were from out of town or couldn't come or their country was locked down. I mean, there was a few people that fell through the crack, but I still get hit up to this day. And if I can help them, get them a new something, T-shirt, grass pass, whatever I will, or we do. But it wasn't that big a deal. Like I said, most of the people that come to the show, you know, dig it and they know we put in a lot of work. We don't just talk the talk, we walk it. I mean, we're there, you know, from the Monday before to the Tuesday after. All day, all night, you know, something's going down, Grant or myself, or maybe a couple of the inner crew, we're handling it. We don't sit in a motorhome and watch TV and in the air conditioner. I wish I did, you know, but we're out there, like I said, out in the parking lot trying to help a lady move her car, or some guy's bike broke down on the road, or whatever it is. It's nonstop work. And I think people, for the most part, not the haters on the internet, but most people know, like, man, these guys put in a shitload of work. And I got to respect that, you know. So they long story short, people were good to us. It as stressful as it was, because it is our income, you know, like we did lose a year's worth of income, which, you know, was not good. It sucked, but we got to come back, and we didn't just, roll up the towel, throw it in. We kept trying, and we created some online art stuff. People submitted some art for T-shirts or flyers, and ended up having like 10 winners, and we gave them, I think, anywhere from $500 to $1,500 or whatever, and we paid them, and we were trying to keep the momentum alive. I will say the tough part was our builders, because, you know, they had more time, right? So that's a good thing in some cases, but it also doesn't help a lot. We did lose a couple builders that couldn't fulfill it, or maybe they were building the bike for a customer and had to turn it over to the customer, and who knows, maybe the guy sold it or whatever. So it was rough on that group of builders. As you know, like I said, people go, oh dude, they had 2 years to build the bike. Like, that's so, you know, they had it made. I'm like, nah, it actually was worse. It's much harder, you know, especially to stay focused too, you know. And if you're looking for, you know, if you're going to sell the bike after the event, or you had a customer and you couldn't get it all done, you know, and you were out for 2 years, you know, these guys aren't rich dudes, you know. They're like everybody. They're scrapping to get by. So anyway, it was tough. We got through it. You know, we did have some people going, you know, well, you're having the show in August and there's still people dying of COVID. What's wrong with you guys? It's like, dude, the restrictions have been lifted. We got 10,000 masks. You want them? They're at the front gate. We ended up having to jack up our toilets and stuff. We had to add way more. The hand washing stations, the sanitizers, the people serving the food and the beer had to wear gloves and masks and all that shit. back in 21. And so we did everything we could to make sure people were safe, the best we could. But we're doing the event. This is a motorcycle event. It's outside, it's summertime, and they can choose or to come or choose to stay home.
Yeah.
And I'd say we had, we had a damn good show for the climate that we were in.
Yeah.
And then we had to go back real quick because that was the end of August, almost September. Then we had to go back real quick to June, which we just had at 22, and that was the best show we ever had.
Yeah, I was going to say that was my third time coming to Born Free, and it was hands down, like every year I meet more people, I get more acquaintances across the board from vendors to just normal people in the crowd. And man, it just every year it seems like that I come back, I have a more immersive experience there. So, I'm already planning my trip for next year to Cali.
Oh, that's good.
So, I mean, it kind of brings us to Texas, man, and that's kind of like the reason why we're doing this podcast. So where and when and how did Texas get, in your head with this event?
Let me jump back one thing.
Okay.
I want to touch on just because this always comes up, mainly through Instagram and stuff, and I want people to know something, is that when it comes to being a vendor, first of all, we only have a certain amount of room at the show. So if you've been there, you know that, right?
Yeah.
And we, like I said, our primary focus is to have as many motorcycles inside the show because it is a motorcycle show. That's what we want. So a few years back, 3 or 4 years ago, we actually had to cut some of the vendors out. And we had to lower the number. We still have almost 150 vendors, not sponsors, but vendors. So we already have a shitload. But people don't understand. So every year we have like a waiting list, and we try to add, if people don't come back, and that's the one good thing about our show is we have very loyal vendors that have been coming back year over year over year. Unless they're out of the business or something tragic happens, like they usually come back, which means we only have a limited number of new spots, right? Because we don't want to create some new vendor area and take away from an activation like San Diego Customs or Wall of Death or whatever it might be, or even the bikes. So we can only add anywhere. It's been as low as 5 to maybe 10 per year. That's it. So when people send us on Instagram, hey, dude, I want to vend, because every other show you want to be a vendor, you're a vendor. Like, hey, here's pay me and you're there. Like, I don't give a shit. And the other thing with our show too is that we try to do a very good job vetting the vendors. And what I mean is look, if we already have 8 dudes doing leather wallets, why would we want to add another one?
Yeah, for sure.
We want our vendors to do good, and I know they do because I hear it from them. I know what goes through those ATMs. And I because it's a cash only show out there for the most part. Some guys have gotten smart with the credit cards. We don't have good service out there, as you know. But I know that I would say 90% of our vendors probably do the best at our show over it. I've heard it from even established guys that you wouldn't even think that would do good at a show like that, crush it. And I think it's because we do care. We try to have just the right amount of vendors that it's controllable, and we try to have the best vendors that we can. So when people come there, they know like, oh dude, I couldn't get that shirt or that wallet or that whatever anywhere else.
Yeah. 100%.
Or I met these dudes, like, oh, I've never even seen this shit before, like that. So that's what we want to. So even with the vendors, it's just like the bikes. We want to have the best we can. We want to have folks having a great time, killing it in their vendor spot, having their own party going, their own little vibe, people hanging out. Like it's like that, and that's what we want.
Well, the vendors are part of the show. I mean, they're part of the draw in some
absolutely
aspects.
Yep, and we appreciate them, and we love them being there, and we try our hardest to work with them. I mean, it isn't easy wrangling 150 different companies, getting them into that place, as you know, one way in, one way out.
Yeah, we
have a lot of rules with the vehicles because we have no other choice. If we let it go willy-nilly, then the whole thing will go sideways. So we've perfected it. It sounds like a lot of rules, but if we don't have them, the whole show will be fucked.
I've been to shows that aren't very regulated, that aren't very well manicured, if you will. And as a vendor, as an attendee, it's not as good of an experience. And so some of these rules or some of these things, these guidelines that are put in place really help curate a much better experience for the goers or for the attendees. You know what I'm saying? So I welcome it. I think without it, you just get someone that doesn't care, and then the show just doesn't have the same impact on the individuals that are attending it. So I have been saying it for years now. One of the first upgrades that pay off for the longevity of your motorcycle ownership is a ThunderMax EFI module. For those that don't know what that does for your riding experience, basically the T-Max module provides your Harley-Davidson with proprietary auto-tune technology. It has a barometric sensor and a wideband O2 sensors, which constantly read the ambient air and air-fuel ratio to optimize the performance output from your fuel-injected engine. You can order these modules with pre-downloaded base map for your current stage of performance, or have the bike brought to a dyno tuner for a custom map. I can tell you from experience, I've watched my bike on the dyno learn from every dyno pull in real time. It works, and I have been running these modules on my bikes since 2015. The team at ThunderMax are some of the best in the business, and you can catch them supporting the big events like Sturgis, all the way down to things like our camp out. ThunderMax is in the streets with you. Head on over to thunder-max.com and get yourself dialed in with a T-Max tuner and drop the Fast Life offer code at checkout and save yourself 10% on your purchase. And follow my guys on the gram at ThunderMax EFI. Good on you guys.
That's really it. That's really it, and that's what we want people to understand. Is like, hey, we care about all this shit. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're part of the show, or if you want to be part of the show, you can. You have to get creative and, like, you know, say, hey, man, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do, you know, I'm digging your show. Let me be part of it somehow. And I would say 99% of the time, if you want to be part of the show, you can. Whether you want to be a builder, a vendor, bring something cool, do some wacky shit, like, we're up for that. But like you said, you know, we do care for our vendors. We do, like, you know, I mentioned earlier, vet them good. And then we also, which sucks, and Grant's really good at it, and he does it, is that we try to place them strategically so you get a good mix and a variety. So it's not, like I said, where you have, you know, 3 girls selling, you know, Guns N' Roses t-shirts are all next to each other.
Yeah.
You know, we try to spread it out. And then, you know, there is some, unfortunately, some, you know, little beefs here and there with certain people. So we try to, okay, we want to make sure he's over here and that guy's over there, although we've never had any issues.
Yeah.
So my point is, it's a lot of work to do the vendors.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you want to be a vendor, we want to have you, but it does take, it's not as easy as just signing up. We have only a certain amount of spots. We usually try to get people, this is for the California show, to start emailing us, and we put shit all over Instagram around December. We sign up our regular vendors in January and the new vendors in February. You know, people hit us up in May and then they're mad that they can't vend. I'm like, we've been closed and done and full since February 1.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they're just not used to that because other shows aren't like that. But anyway, that was the deal on the vendors. But yeah, back to Texas.
Yeah. So, you know, like, how did the whole concept or the conversation of bringing a version of this show to Texas come about?
Well, we've talked to a few people over the years. I mean, we were going to try to do something in Japan. We were going to try to do something in Sturgis. I talked that Woody Buffalo Chip. I talked to him a couple times. We've talked to Harley, who's our headline sponsor, about. I mean, we did do something in Milwaukee at the 115th anniversary, and we're going to go back to the 120. We tried to think about some other spots, other parts of the country, you know, the East Coast and all that. But it was like, you know, there's already cool shit going on in these spots. Maybe it's not born free, but we just felt like with Grant and I, again, it's just us, right? And whatever we do, we want the show. We don't want to cheat anybody out of an experience. We want it to have the same feel, or at least know that we're not just throwing up a date in a spot and, like, if 12 people come, you know, that's what you get.
Yeah.
So without having more manpower, doing an event somewhere else is just really tough.
Yeah.
And it's just not what we want to do. So we've talked about it over the years, even in other countries, you know, Italy, Germany, all these places. We've had guys hit us up, and although the idea is bitching, we just felt like we couldn't pull off at that time the show. So the Texas thing came about because Oliver Peck and a group of people, Scott, Chemical Candy, Randy, whatever his name is, he's got 8 names, and like 6 other guys were going in on this property out in East Texas, Yellow Rose Canyon. So they came to us and they said, hey, we're thinking about buying this thing. We're working on a deal. Would you guys want to do a show here? And it was very attractive because it's like, well, first of all, when they told us the size of the venue is 130 acres or something like that. And it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, which we like. Anything goes, racetrack on site, bar, restaurant, big amphitheater, pavilions, camping, cabins. I mean, they sold us on it. And then it's also kind of, from what I understand, I've been there, Grant has, it's, there's trees and pine trees and stuff like that. So it's not this flat, desolate Texas thing somebody might think. It's actually kind of in the woods, and there's ponds there and you can go swimming and all this shit. So it just sounded like, wow, all the things that we can't do in California: camp, race, just have people spend the night, have that nighttime vibe where people get to know each other, dude, chick, hook up, like make a baby, do whatever you want to do, right? This Dave Mann painting concept, 1970, which we always wanted to try to have something like that. And I know the Giddy Up was out there, and that was kind of the same vibe, and I heard nothing but good. I love all those dudes that were involved with that thing, Matt and Joey. Never made it, but I mean, that I always heard like, oh, dude, it was by this river, and it was so chill. So anyway, that was the whole idea of like, okay, these dudes are legit. We know we got a good spot. They're willing to help us. They're willing to give us a deal because they want the event to do well and grow and be a part of their venue, which also brings them other customers for other things that they do out there. Yeah. Because it is a real event site. I mean, they've had horse shows and other bike shows and
they used to
concerts and all.
They used to do what they call a nude bike rally there, where basically it was run what you brung, but don't wear your clothes kind of vibe. I
heard that, and that's still in the closed towns, and that's a church town area. So I understand, like Henderson's close by, and it's a church town. That no one was ever real happy with that. Obviously, probably any businesses that in town did fairly well because it brought in what I heard, like 10,000 people.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the vibe they wanted. So when Oliver and those guys started talking to the townspeople and the sheriff or whoever is kind of in charge, like, hey, we're going to buy this venue. That show is gone, right? But we do want to do other things out here and have the town prosper from these other folks. Like, they were all about it. So that was another plus. Is like, okay, well, we got this small little town that'll be behind us instead of against us.
Yeah.
Like in Southern California. Everybody is against you.
That's how I would say Daytona is. Like, when you go to Daytona, like, you feel like the town of Daytona does not want you there, as opposed to Sturgis feels like they're like overly welcoming, like, hey, thank you for keeping our town alive, kind of vibe,
Well, that's what this is, right? So that's the whole thing. It's like people are saying, it's so far. Why are you doing it out there? Do it in Austin, do it in Dallas, do it here. It's like, dude, there's already plenty to do in those towns. They're bitching. They're killer shows. They're friends of ours. Nothing wrong with them. But we cannot do what we want to do in Austin.
Yeah, 100%.
Or Dallas. We got it. We want our own Sturgis. That's what we want.
Yeah.
We want our own Sturgis. I'm not saying it's going to be big like that. It's certainly not in the first few years. But the idea is this destination, ride to event site where you can go, whether it's 2 days this year, who knows, turns into a week, I don't know. But you can get out there, you can camp, you can party, you can swim, you could, we're not doing the races this year, but you can race, you can do all this shit under one roof. There's bands, we're going to have some like nighttime music stuff, which I know you're aware of and part of. Like things that, at our show, 6 o'clock comes, really 5 o'clock. Everybody got to leave because we got to pump the toilets and reset and pick up trash. I mean, we're there till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night in California, just trying to get the place in shape to open up again the next day. So we don't get to go to any pre-parties. We don't get to have go do all the fun shit that people get to do at other events because our event is so involved, and it's very unique to where we have it and all the nuances to it. So this is not that. This is everything we could ever want to do, and literally, whether we do it this year or we do it next year or the year after, we are not going to really say no to anything. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's got an idea, we have the space and we have the spot. We've got the people behind us. We don't have all the rules and all the regulations to say no to everything. So basically, this is like a yes.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a lot of fun, especially the first few years, I feel like this is be one of those things where people will remember a long time from now and go, oh, dude, I remember I went to the first one or two or three. It was nuts. It was crazy. It was so much fun. Met these people and had these experiences and rode my bike out there and, met my girlfriend or my wife or whatever. I mean, that's really kind of what we want. We just want people to come and have fun and see cool bikes and do all the same shit, but be able to be way more relaxed. And I'm hoping we're more relaxed because at our show in California, like from 4:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, I'm not the kind of person that I want to be. You know what I mean? Like it's just all business. And I mean, I'm running and gunning, and I try to have time for people and say thanks for coming, and we do our best, but like I don't get to like drink a beer with somebody or like go nerd out on some dude's bike for an hour. I have to be short with people. Like, oh man, I gotta run, man. Sorry. Like this one, we're hoping that because we got great people there with Yellow Rose and their staff, and the fact that this place is so huge that it's not going to require all the crazy, things that we got to do. So we can be a little more chill and relax and actually enjoy it.
Yeah. And I was going to say that
that's my goal.
I feel like in California, you probably have to answer to so many people, whether it's the sheriffs or the event, the event grounds people, the people that own the venue. I just feel like there's a lot of people to answer to at that show. You know what I mean?
It doesn't stop. People think, oh, well, once the show starts, it's on. Absolutely not. I mean, they put the screws to you. I had an inspector this year. First of all, with COVID, all these people are gone. So anybody that we worked with in the past is all gone. It's all new people, and they don't know shit. They don't know how this works. They think we're out there going to, blow the place up, and it's a bunch of bikes and crazy people on it. So we got to start from scratch. I mean, even the inspector doing the walkthrough, which they come up with this bullshit stuff that has nothing to do with us. Like I got to get a building permit. We're not building anything. He's checking boxes about plumbing and shit. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is an event site. I'm not building nothing there. You don't check plumbing. So anyway, I mean, I'm stressed out until 4 o'clock on Friday when these fuckers finally leave, and finally pass. And then what happens is Saturday, they'll park somebody out on the road, midday or at the end of the day and watch all the bikes go the wrong way. Like, so what I'm getting at is it just never ends. They put the screws to you. I mean, the sheriffs are cool, I will say, and the event site owners mentioned, I mean, we love the guy. We've really made some really good friends, but all the services you mentioned, from the fire to the county to this to that, it's a challenge. Even getting all them toilets set up, we get way too many. I mean, there's like almost 200 toilets, and spend more money on toilets than most people do on their whole show. That's one of the most stressful things of that whole goddamn event is getting those fucking toilets in there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And pumped out at night. Anyway, so the whole Texas thing is just like, we just want to have fun. We want people to come and have fun, and that's the whole thing behind that.
Yeah. So on the Texas side, to talk a little bit more about some of the things going on there. I guess it was Grant that went there and did the public. Talking about it on the Born Free Instagram, filling in some details about the event. You want to talk about some of those right now? That way we can make sure everybody's on the same page as far as the Friday, what the grass pass is for, just kind of what he said, but we could do it here.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I mean, obviously, the event site's big and all that, so we have plenty of room to do what we want, but Yellow Rose Canyon is handling all of our admission this year. We wanted to keep it super simple, although it has gotten confusing because they have quite a few options that kind of get people confused. But we'll just make it real easy to understand here. But yellowrosecanyon.com, or if you go on our Instagram page, we've got all the links and all that. That's where you can get your admission. So whether you just want general admission, like you're driving a car or a bike and you just want to park your bike outside for free, or you're driving your car and you park, you pay inside, there's just general admission for Saturday or Sunday. That's straightforward. There's camping available for those people as well. It's like an a la carte menu. You can get camping. You can do all that stuff. Our thing for us is the grass pass, because basically that is, if you want to ride your motorcycle inside the show and put it in the show area, regardless if it's a show bike, you just want to have your bike inside the grounds. So whether you can get to it quick, whether you got shit on it, whether you want to just park with your friends, or you're camping or whatever, the grass pass is for motorcycles, folks who want to ride. It's a 2-day ban. We didn't want to do Saturday, Sunday like we do in California. Wanted to make it very easy. So regardless if you're going 1 day or 2 days, it's still a hell of a deal. It's way less than California, and you get camping with it.
Yeah.
So you're parked inside in the showgrounds if you want, or not, depending on you. If you want to have your bike in the area where you can get an award, or you want people to see it, great. If not, you just want to park it somewhere else, that's fine too. You get the 2 days of camping, and you're part of the show. So if you go to their website, they've got a bunch of shit listed, and you just have to take your time to read through it and see what's right for you. But our big push is the grass pass.
And so for
because,
everybody
again,
to also know, like, the grass pass covers you as a rider. So if your dude's on the back or your chick, depending on who's up front, they also need to get a grass pass for that situation, correct?
It is, because it's technically admission. It's just a different form of admission, right? Yeah. So you can't put 6 people on a bike like a circus and bring them all in. Everybody has to have it. Plus, it's just, like I said, it's a part of the admission. It's the same thing we do back in California. It's going to come here and do the same thing. Yeah. It's less money, and you do get the camping. They have opened it up to Friday night camping. They're calling it early bird and all this stuff, and all that stuff is listed and posted there. I don't want to get too deep into it because it can get confusing, but if you just take your time to read through it, you can navigate through what you want and get what you want. But the grass pass is what we really want to hit home on. And the other thing too is this is a ride and motorcycle show. It's not an invite, right? You don't have to be invited to be there. You don't have to be invited to have your bike in the show area. It's a ride and show. So no matter what you're on, if you got a grass pass, you can bring it in and park it in the show area.
Nice.
That's the main thing, because we keep getting people going, well, dude, is it invite? I'm like, no, don't get confused with the invited builder thing back in California, which at some point we will do in Texas. But same thing in California. If you have a grass pass, you're riding into the event. You become the show. Same thing in Texas. So if you want to win an award, you're all excited about your bike, get a grass pass, get there early, get parked up front, and boom, you're ready to go.
Nice.
If you just want to, like I said, you just want to cruise in with your friends, and you're riding a whatever it is, a Dyna that's not a show bike, flat black, and you just want to be inside, same deal. Get your grass pass. If you want to camp, it covers that too. If you're going home or staying in a hotel, whatever, but it's still the best value for your money is to get the grass pass. Because if I was going to a show, they have free motorcycle parking outside this venue. I wouldn't want to park outside.
Yeah.
Motorcycles are personal. They're not like a car, right? You put your car anywhere, you don't give a shit. Bike, you want to park inside. So there is free bike parking outside, but then you just pay general admission. Might as well get the grass pass and come on in.
Save the walk.
Exactly. It's a better deal. If you do want to come back the next day, you already got it. If you don't, that's fine. You just, it's basically a couple more bucks to have your bike inside the show. I do that any day of the week.
I think that for the people that haven't gone, or maybe they've heard me talk about Giddy Up over the years, that I think that this, Friday, Saturday night situation is going to probably be one of the most epic things that could take place. I mean, obviously the show, the vendors that I know are going is going to be an amazing lineup, but that's going to be the one unique thing about this show that I think that people might not be they might not be thinking about it that much. And I think that from someone that used to do Giddy Up and loved it so much, when all these people got done doing Giddy Up the show, Giddy Up the campgrounds at night was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever been a part of as a motorcyclist. And I think that this is going to resemble that, mainly because of all of our Texas hospitality that we have down here. But at the same time, there's not much to do in and around this venue, so it just makes more sense to figure out how to stay there and be a part of the all day, all night party. You know what I mean? In my opinion, at least.
No, absolutely. I mean, you hit it right on the head. I mean, the funnest times you have at some of these shows is not the show. It's a party. It's a meetup. It's hanging out with people after the word or whatever. So this is all that, and you don't have to leave. You can go, even if you're like, all right, burnt on the bikes, you're camping.
Yeah.
You're camping out with your friends, your girlfriend, your buddies, whatever. You're camping, you're, drinking a little bit, getting loose, having fun. Like it's that's why I'm saying it's more of that destination type of event where
if you just like being out, you're going to have a good time. And then you throw in the music, the nighttime stuff that we'll have, a little jam band and, you know, some open mic thing or whatever they're talking about. Like, all that shit would be so much fun. I mean, imagine just hanging out in a campground and, you know, your buddy gets up on the mic and starts singing and playing guitar or whatever. Like, that shit doesn't happen everywhere. And you got to, you know, when it does happen, you got to take advantage of it. And it's fun. And it's just like Sturgis. The town of Sturgis, most of that stuff, although I've never gone, people say, oh, dude, it sucks. It's 100, million people all standing around, bikes overheating, shit show, whatever. But you get to those campgrounds, and that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bike show in the campground. There's, mud wrestling. There's, Motley Crue, whatever it is, whatever you're into, hanging out, like all that shit goes down. And that's basically, we want to have a Buffalo Chip style campground, adventure show with a little bit younger folks.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this crowd, right? I mean, I'm old, so I mean, whatever. But
trust me, you're still young compared to what's at the Buffalo Chips.
So that's the vibe, right? Just have that fun experience thing, going on with all that stuff, and be able to do it at night, not have to make people leave. They don't want to leave, and then you could have a couple extra beers because you don't have to get back on your bike at 5 o'clock and ride back wherever you came from. So. Hopefully it all works and everybody behaves. And like you said, Texas hospitality rules and everybody's just having a great time talking bullshit about motorcycles or not. And I mean, to me, that was the most attractive thing. If someone just said, hey, you can come to Texas, we'll give you a spot, have a show, same deal, 10 to 5, I would say no.
Yeah.
I'd be like, nuh-uh, can't do it.
Yeah.
But I want to be there. I want to see everybody, sitting around a bonfire because Oliver said they have an area where they have a big bonfire at night. Everybody's just sitting around bullshitting, I mean, that to me is just, I grew up in the 70s and stuff. So like all that camping stuff and all that, like I just still remember it all when I was little,
Yeah.
Just, going to the mountains or the beach or whatever, doing those bonfires and camp outs and shit. And just this to me is like summer camp for, this crowd.
And honestly, we should have some really, really good weather in October. It's not really a wet month for us out here in Texas. And usually it's got that perfect camping weather night times. You know what I'm saying? And we joke about it here in Texas because you leave to go to work in the morning and you gotta bundle up. You got to get a hoodie and all that shit. But about lunchtime, you pretty much can run around on shorts on your bike. You know what I mean? And then, of course, as the sun goes down, it gets back cool again.
Yeah, I mean, we went off of their lead. We just talked about when we could do this thing, and they said that late October is the best time. We still have daylight savings working for us, so it's still light to a point.
Yeah.
But they typically get the best weather. So yeah, you're right. Daytime you're in a t-shirt and hanging out, and then nighttime, throw on a sweatshirt or bundle up with your chick or whatever. I mean, that to me sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that just sounds like a blast.
And
I'm bringing my truck and camper. I'm camping. Like, I'm ready.
Hell yeah. I think that this also gives it like a different dynamic than the Born Free California because, one of the things and I hate to bring it up, but with our camp out, when we first started doing it, we were thinking about doing the camp out in different locations across the country. But then we were kind of worried that people would go to the one that's convenient and not experiencing each one of them. You know what I mean? And so we kind of we were reluctant to ever do any other camp outs other than our Fast Life camp out. But I think that with you guys having Born Free California, which is its own vibe. I mean, you go into California, if you're not from there, then there's so much more to do then as well as the show. You know what I mean? But you don't have the things that we're talking about right now about what Born Free Texas is. You don't have that at the California show. So there's this draw to go to both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And, California thing, people are fighting traffic and stuff. So they got to get out of there. Otherwise they're getting stuck in 3 hours of traffic and all that. We're not going to have that in Texas. And yeah, like you said, the vibe is different. What we're after is different. And we know we're going to have to put in a lot of work to get some real traction on this thing. Cause even for Texans, and I had no idea, I thought everybody was just like, oh yeah, cool. I mean, it's far, right? So it is a destination ride. You have to be committed. You want to do it. If you're wherever you are and you got to ride 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, that's not 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we do know, what kind of crowd we get. We don't know. I mean, we're not expecting. Our expectations are low. We're not expecting some massive crowd, and certainly we don't have the budget or the sponsorship that we have in California year one to be able to pull off all kind of stuff. But we're trying to give a little taste of what we do out there with the FXR show. And I know you're a big part of that and you're going to participate in it, and that's your jam and vibe. So hopefully that all works good, where we do have some attractions. You know, we did pony up for the Wall of Death, Ives Brothers Wall of Death, which is not cheap, but that's an incredible thing. If you've never seen it, like there's no extra charge for that. They're running, you know, however many shows they can per day, as many as they can. It's a blast. We have 6 bands. You know, we're doing obviously the bike show. We've got awards. You know, the plenty of food and drink, the camp out. You know, we had planned on doing a full race program, but we just aren't getting the interest. And this is everywhere. I mean, I race and I follow it pretty damn close, and it's just racing is tough right now. It's a struggle to get to really do it. And we've had several races and we don't put together some shit program with a bad track and, you know, not a professional deal. People get hurt or they're held captive all day, or they don't know what they're doing, or they're mixed up with people that they shouldn't be on a track with, and people are getting hurt. Like, we try to do it super pro, and we just decided after, you know, a month and a half of really trying to push it, that we just don't have enough riders to warrant bringing out a full crew, you know, to do it. So, but we are still going to have the minis. So full start minis will still go on, and that's a huge fun thing. So if you got a mini bike and you're listening, bring it out. And then if we do get people that show up with a race bike that either didn't get word or see the post or whatever, we'll probably set up some stuff. You know, they just sign a waiver and have a good time, go out there, you know, hammer it, do a bunch of practice laps and get their feel, get some seat time in. Cause I would feel bad if somebody, you know, drove from Louisiana or something, didn't read the post with a race bike. But we are not close, having, well, wherever, you know, far, we're not having a proper race program this year. We want to, and I hope to God next year we can, because I love racing, especially the vintage stuff, love seeing it, hooligan stuff, and it would be a great add-in. So you have, you know, music over here, bike show over here, all the crazy shit's going on. People are jumping in the water over there, Wall of Death. Yeah. You know, all kind of, you know, the FXR stuff, all kinds of different little areas. And then we hope that more people, especially from Texas, because we really want to cater to the Texas folks, is next year they're like, hey, I want to bring out, you know, a mechanical bull or a cream corn, you know, mud wrestling pit, or, you know, whatever, like that kind of shit we want. So if anybody's out there listening, or after this year's show, that wants to do some fun stuff or create their own little bike show in the bike show, you know, in California, you know, over the years we've had, you know, Arlen Ness Digger show, you know, Rusty Butcher's done their thing. He's done his Sportster show. Bill Wells had some stuff, obviously Chip and those dudes. So if somebody's got an idea like that, like to create a show within the show, we are 1,000% in.
Yeah, that's one of the things I would say that when Danger Dan linked us together and we had our initial conversation, it really, first off, I'd never spoken to you before and anything like that, but it really just opened my eyes to how much you guys are interested in this being a show that is encompassing Texas. Like, it's not like Californians coming to invade Texas with like, here's all our California shit. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we're into the same shit that you guys are doing. So it's like it goes across the platform, if you will. And, you know, your guys supportive, like us doing the pre-party and then just everything that you guys have been supporting on us on my end. Like I've had nothing but, you know, I can't say anything bad about it. I feel like you guys are listening to people to make this show better. You're listening to people on the opinions about everything. And that means a lot to me, that you're taking that much care into the community that's kind of surrounding this event. So,
yeah, and I wish we were out there more, or I got to come to visit the site or spend more time. I actually never even been to Texas before. I got friends there, which, you know, who've actually moved from California to Texas. So, I mean, I know they're digging it, but we definitely want people to understand that, hey, we're not coming here to California up Texas. I mean, we feel and act the same way. I mean, I'm pretty sure we want the same things, and we have the same beliefs for the most part, and we just want to have a fun show. Like I said, we want people to be able to come and do their thing and have fun, and hopefully it grows. And hopefully next year we're talking about this again, and there's way more people that want to do more stuff because we do have the space out there. And that was the other thing too, is recently we just decided, hey, like, you got an old car, truck, hauler, van, something like that you want to bring out that you're proud of, that you want to park, show, camp out of, whatever, we have the space for that. Nice. And basically you just get a grass pass. We just figure it's a show admission. You're bringing a vehicle in, it keeps it nice and simple. So if you got, a boogie van or some cool truck or old car that you want to bring out because you maybe don't have a bike or something, you don't ride anymore, we want it. I mean, it's just another little attraction people can look at and bullshit and talk and have a good time over, which, again, California, we can't do that because we don't have the room. We'd like to, but there's just nowhere to put all that. But here, kind of anything goes. So hopefully the listeners are thinking like, oh man, next year, what could I do to get involved? Because we do want you guys involved. Yeah. And, just come up with some fun stuff that you want to do. And like you said, the campground's going to be a lot of fun with the music and just the nighttime. Maybe that turns into something else on its own next year, Yeah. So we're open for everything. We just want to have a fun show. We want people to know we care. We're there. We're committed. We're not going to just, do one and leave. We really want to build it because we don't really know where the California thing's going to end up. We don't have any intention of leaving there, which people thought we were with Texas. I mean, it is a very good market. It's a big market. There's 40 million people in California to draw from, and we're in a very good spot there. But going forward, like, the harder it becomes, the more regulations, the more they keep saying no to everything, we may end up having to, not be able to do it there anymore.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to get the feelers out now.
How many vendors have you guys got signed up for Texas so far?
We have 100.
100? Nice.
Yeah. Which, at Born Free, we have, like, I think regular vendors, maybe 120 or something like that, 110. But that's a lot. I was really surprised because, vendors bring people, and that's more people in the show. And, we want to have a good time with it. We, originally we thought, oh man, if we can get like 20 vendors, that would be okay. Yeah. But we've had really good, response. I think we will have more next year. We have the room for it, but it is, again, everything we talked about, it is far. If you're coming from another state, it is far. And unfortunately, the fuel is fucked. And it's, luckily when you get out of California, if you're coming from California, you're going to save money on gas.
Yeah, it's not too bad out here.
shit's expensive. So we kept the vendor price affordable. You get essentially 3 days because you're setting up Friday, and you get a bigger spot than you do in California. You get a camp. You get your vehicle in your spot, which you can't do in California unless you're like bringing a big trailer. We're going to have to have you unload it and get that in the trailer parking or something. But those are some things that we don't allow in California. You can't have your vehicle in your spot.
Yeah.
Multitude of reasons. The fire authority won't allow it, and then people trying to come and go during the show could never happen. So, but it is a plus, and I totally get it. Like, man, having my vehicle right there where I could pop in, or relax, or have all my shit right there. I don't have to unload it and go park in a parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal. And like I said, we kept the vendor thing affordable. It's, a fraction of what it is in California, and you get more. And we hope that next year we have double the amount of vendors. So we did get a lot of Texas people, which is great, and some Texas sponsorship, which is even better.
Yeah, we got Simpson coming back out, right?
Simpson's coming for sure. They're a sponsor. Lindell, there's a couple other Texas companies. I don't have my list in front of me. Like Red Rabbit Trading, I think they're from Texas. There's a few other guys. I don't want to not mention anybody, so I don't want to go too deep. But there's definitely some interest there, and a lot of the vendors, like make killer jewelry and knives and all that stuff, like are from Texas. So the more we can get, the more we want.
Do you think you'll have after this event? I'm sure that once you see the response of this event and see how it transpires, you'll probably have to do some of the similar things as far as like putting some kind of deadline for vendors and things like that. Because the one good thing about this, at least I know for sure, my phone out there at the spot, we have service. So, there's going to be a lot more social media posts going on the events themselves from a lot of the attendees, I believe, and it's going to create more of a draw to people saying like, fuck, I missed it, I should have been, and a bigger demand for the next year, I think, is what's going to end up happening. So do you think you'll have like a similar vendor cutoff situation where you're going to try to get it all handled months prior to the show? That way you're not, scrambling, or do you think it's going to interfere with the Born Free California prep?
We want to definitely strategically put this stuff together where it's not overlapping. That's why we held off the Texas stuff until we were fully out of the vendor stuff to California. Even though we do set some pretty hard deadlines there, it does tend to linger out because, a lot of these people are friends again. And, oh, man, I can't get the money till, blah, blah, blah. I'm signing up. So yeah, we definitely, working with some deadlines helps everybody, right? It enables you to create a vendor map, get it out earlier, even promote the vendors that are there. We won't be able to do that this time with Texas, but my goal is to, like we used to do in California, not really necessary anymore, but we would try to run a list and post on Instagram and stuff of the folks that are signed up to vend, and make sure you stop by and see so-and-so and all this stuff. So we still would like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting it done early always helps. I know there's stragglers out there and, people that procrastinate. I'm one of them, but the quicker we can get this stuff done, the better it is for everybody. But like you said, hopefully, because again, we don't have internet Wi-Fi out at Oak Canyon, California, and everything's real spotty, having folks be able to, film, the band or the nighttime campground or some of the shenanigans that happen or the bikes rolling in or some cool show bikes, that will certainly help. And we hired a guy, Mark, who's going to put together a really bitchin' cinematic kind of video. He's done some stuff with Ice and other folks, really clean,
nice.
Movie quality type of a video of the event, right? Interviewing some folks, some bikes and all that, give it that real cool vibe. And then Ed Subius works for us full time too, and Ed's awesome. Yeah. And Ed's more of a journeyman guy. He knows everybody. He's got the drone. He's going to film, overhead and do more. So Mark will have his cinematic vibe, and then Ed will be the guy talking to folks and filming stuff and do his thing. So we're putting some money into it, basically, is what I'm getting at. We're not just throwing a date and say, see you there, see you when, see you then. We're trying to work everything we can this year, and whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. And then next year, we're going to definitely, go bigger. The other thing too is we couldn't get all the sponsorship we wanted because it's mid-year, right? Well, it's toward the end of the year. Their budgets are shot, and we didn't give anybody any notice. We didn't even really talk about Texas until around April, May, and that was too late for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
So I do expect some of our bigger sponsors that are in California to be present next year, like an SNS or somebody like that. But we do have a great list of people. We do. It's not like these guys are just scrubs. They're great people. Simpson, like you mentioned, and all these other guys, they're top-notch guys.
Yeah,
and we love them, and they get what we do, and they appreciate it, and they're easy to work with and fun and all that stuff. So we're just going to try to get this thing done, put the best show we can year one, and if it goes well, we'll throw everything at it next year. In fact, we just got with a local classic rock radio station. Can't think of the name of it offhand, but this guy Dunny out there is a trip. We're doing a radio spot for 2 weeks.
Nice.
And we've never done anything like that before, but we've spent a shitload of money on Instagram and Facebook, but I feel like you're just preaching to the choir, where in this area in East Texas, obviously it's different folks. Maybe they're not all into Instagram or Facebook and all this bullshit. So we're going to go back old school and do a radio ad. The guy even sent me the proof today. It's one of those, like a monster truck kind of feel. You know how they do that? And, it's funny when you hear it. I heard the guy's voice doing it, and I was cracking up. It's like, it's not exactly maybe the way I would do it, but he was so excited about it. He's like, I've been doing this for 22 years, man. Let me do it for you. Let me do it for you.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
like, go ahead. But, it was $5,000. It wasn't like it was $500.
Yeah.
So it was like, we're trying to reach the folks in the area. I'd love nothing more than a bunch of East Texas people to come to the show and go, I never even heard of Born Free. I don't know what it is, but I heard this radio spot or saw a flyer somewhere, and I'm coming. I'm going, and I had fun.
East Texas has some good people out there. Some of my best friends live out there, so we just got to hope that the radio thing doesn't bring back all the nude people. It's okay to have nude people as long as they're under 60.
Basically, no one liked that event, right? The town didn't, and even the radio guy told me that that site had a very negative thing going on with it. And so the spot actually says new owners of Yellow Rose Canyon, and then talks about us a little bit, not a lot, because there's only so many words they allow, so it didn't get too descriptive, but Like, we just want regular folks too. You don't have to be some Instagram hero with 1 million followers or some influencer or whatever you want to call yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a motorcycle or you don't, you just want to come out and hang out and check out all the cool shit and have fun and be part of it. That's what we want too. All the rest of that stuff will handle itself. But I always like getting the locals involved. To me, that's where the soul of the show, of these shows are. And then other people from other areas come and, you know, other states, and then they get to become friends, and, you know, hopefully we become friends in person and all that shit. And, I mean, that's what I'm hoping. That's what we want.
Yeah, with it being in East Texas, like all the people coming from out east, whether it's Tennessee or Virginia or North Carolina, that's one of the things about traveling to Texas is like once you hit that border, if it's in Austin or San Antonio or anywhere else, it's like you still got 5 or 6 hours to go. So being out in East Texas, it's not far off the major highway, Interstate 20, about 30, 40 miles tops. And, man, I don't know. I think it's going to have a much bigger turnout than maybe you guys think it'll be, but I think that you guys got your finger on the pulse, so you probably get it too. But I've heard nothing but people talking about it, and even while I was at Born Free, California, everybody was asking about it, especially to me because I'm from Texas. So it was a topic of conversation amongst people at Silverado Canyon. You know what I mean? So I think there'll be a lot of people here.
We're hoping, you know, I mean, it'd be nice to get a good turnout, because I know when you don't have a good turnout, people are like, it's kind of suck, not that many people, but, you know, we're optimistic that we're going to have a decent turnout, and if we have a great one, so be it. You know, fantastic. More power to everybody, and we're going to thank everybody for coming. But we definitely want to build this. And we've talked about it with Oliver and Audra and the crew at Yellow Rose Canyon and stuff. It's like we want to continue it. We want to build on it, and you know, nothing's a massive success the first time you do it.
Yeah.
Especially where we're going to be doing it, because a lot of folks aren't familiar with that area or Yellow Rose Canyon.
Yeah.
I mean, even some of the rentals and stuff I talked to, they're like, I never heard of this place, you know? So
I never heard of it until they bought it, what, in 2020 or 2021? So
yeah, it was like 2021 they got it. So, you know, it's going to take time for them to develop it to where they want it, but they've been actually putting a lot of money in the event site. You know, there's 11 cabins on site, which is killer. Unfortunately, they're already rented out. I'm camping, so I'm not even in one. But, you know, there's a cafe and a bar, you know, on site, which is awesome. You know, and then there's going to have 4 food trucks every day, and I think 2 or 3 during setup on Friday. So you don't have to leave. And the cool thing about your area, which, you know, here, well, I'm in Oregon, but California is impossible, is this whole bring your own alcohol. I mean, that doesn't exist in California.
Yeah.
Here, you know, you bring your own alcohol. If you get the cooler in the car, you pay a little cooler fee, whatever. It's well worth bringing, you know, 300 beers in instead of spending, you know, $8 on one.
Yeah.
For the $10. Or if you're on your bike, you can bring your own stuff. So you don't have to leave. If you want to camp, there's food. There's you know, a bar. They got a bar on site that actually serves real alcohol if you're not a beer drinker, and a beer garden. And then otherwise you can bring all your own shit. And then there's a barbecue dude. Can't remember his name offhand, but supposedly
Rhino.
Awesome. Rhino, yep. And then obviously there would be some food trucks, so there's some other options. You know, if you're vegetarian, vegan, whatever, like there's stuff, right? So you don't have to go, fuck, I rode 5 hours, I'm starving, I gotta leave. You know what I mean? And I've done that. I love to eat. If people don't have food, I'm out. I'll see you later. Like if there ain't food there, I'll stay 10 minutes and I'm done.
What do you know about the other pre-party that's taking place on the Friday? I think it's in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, there is a flyer for that, and then Chemical Candy Randy is doing that one.
Okay.
And I'd have to get the details, but it is posted. We've posted it on Born Free Show on Instagram, and then at Yellow Rose Canyon. That's Friday, and then your guys' thing is Thursday at Strokers, right?
Yeah,
Dallas?
Strokers in Dallas, and we've got everything figured out and ironed out on our side of it. So we're just gonna pump it out for the next 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks until we hit Thursday, and we got a lot of people from California that are riding through. So we figured might as well, since they're gonna have to pass through Dallas to get to this place anyway, we might as well make it to where Thursday they can stay in Dallas, which is probably the biggest city closest to this thing, to Yellow Roses there is. Plenty of shit to do in Dallas, plenty of things to see, but Strokers is one of our kind of like legendary biker bars in town. And obviously Rick Fairless is, people probably remember him from the biker build off days and whatnot. And he has just a really cool spot, and they're basically giving it all to us just to come out, drink their beer, have fun. I think we're going to be doing some giveaways too from a lot of the brands involved. So it's going to be a fun time, man. I think it's going to be a good introduction to what's going to be an epic weekend.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, but if I can get you some stuff for the giveaways, like we're doing some special merch, some barracks bags and canteens and kind of more campy shit. We got a bunch of that coming in.
Oh, hell yeah.
Some other stuff. I'll try to get it to you so you can, hand it out there, and we'll pump that as best we can. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the radio guy to mention the pre-parties.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no,
words in their ad, but we'll put it out there. Anybody coming through town, and that's perfect because a lot of the vendors, wherever they're coming from, being able to do something Thursday before they got to set up on Friday is great. You know, and the more the better. And I don't know Rick personally or whatever, but I certainly know who he is and know his style. And like you said, the biker build-off shows and the bar. And I know his bar's been on other shows and stuff. So pretty famous, cool place. And for him to let you guys do that and let our people come, and we do appreciate it.
For sure.
I don't know if I'd be able to get there because I'm getting to the show site Monday. And we've never done it there, so we got to learn where to put things and do all this stuff. But we'll definitely keep pumping it on our social to get people there.
Well, cool. And I think the only other question that I had was, so everything as far as grass passes, camping, I think all the RV spots. I think there might be some available still for people that are going big time. RV spots are still available, and they do have full hookups out there, which is cool. So if you're pulling a trailer or driving a motorhome or whatever you want to do it in style, boom, they have RV spots, and you can get all that stuff, everything through yellowrosecanyon.com. So all the admission, and like I said, there is a lot of options. Mm-hmm. So my just recommendation is to either get on a computer, a laptop, an iPad, where you can visualize it all, slow your roll down. There's nothing selling out, so you have time. And get on there and read through what these things are. Our initial intention was to keep it simple and only offer literally like a grass pass or general admission. Mm-hmm. But we don't run it, they do, and they felt that it was necessary to have these other a la carte options. So I have no patience, and I hate getting on shit with my phone and looking at something and it's like, fuck, it's too much. But I did it, and you just slow it down, read through it. There is RV spots, like I said. The cabins were gone like immediately,
12 hours or something. Maybe the first day they were gone. But there's plenty of other stuff, regular camping and all the rest of the stuff. The grass passes online, buying them is going to save you some money, just so there is some demand to do it ahead of time. Which also helps us and everybody else. But what I was going to say too is, after we're all done and I'll hook up with you tomorrow, I'll send you 25, 30 grass passes, and you give them out at the pre-party. Oh, hell yeah. Cool. So if anybody didn't get admission, they want to ride, or maybe they didn't know about it until they went to the party because there was something going on at Strokers. Next thing you know, they're asking, what is this? I'm
going to scalp them.
Whatever.
No,
whatever. It ain't California yet. So that's what happens there. People buy 20, 30 at a time and then go sell them for $100 each or something, which fucking sucks. No. We're going to try to do something about that next year, limiting it. But we won't have that problem this year. We won't be selling out. So they are available. But if you get them online, you're definitely going to save. I know for a fact it's $10.
Okay. But they still can. Yeah. Worst case scenario, it's a last minute decision. They can fucking make it. They show up. They can still buy it right there at the spot.
Buy it at the gate. And I really recommend anybody riding a motorcycle, just get one. Even if you buy it day of, just get it. There's no reason to pay $10 less and park your bike outside, or $15, whatever it is. Park your bike outside and not be inside part of the action. We want motorcycles inside the show.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. We all love all bikes. I know you do too. So it doesn't matter. Whatever you ride, that you're riding. That's all that matters. So having inside the show area, even if you don't feel like, oh man, I don't want to put it on the grass next to this guy, like it ain't for me, at least having it inside the show. So we will be selling them day of, both days. You can get it right at the gate. Mm-hmm. And I know that they got a few challenges with this alcohol thing, so I think everybody's got to sign something to get there. it's basically like a club style
That's how we
permit
do
for
it,
them. So, we just have to jump through a couple little hoops, but hey, we want people to realize like it's all for the best of the show and everybody involved. It's better to have a bar and a restaurant you can go in and do your thing and just have to sign a piece of paper than not have that
at all. Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people that are from
so,
Texas are used to the whole like club thing. That's something that a lot of small bars and outskirts of towns things have to happen. And I had one more question that I think was going to be helpful for people. So if they're ordering their grass pass online, is there a cutoff for that to where they can get shipped, or they would just pick up at the gate kind of situation?
There'll probably be a cutoff. I'm going to talk to those guys tomorrow. I know that they've been a little lax, not intentionally, just because there's no urgency to like overnight somebody a ban. So like I know people who bought something a week or two ago is just starting to see it, which is totally fine. They're going to get it. And we'll honor it no matter what. If something got lost in the mail or whatever. But I think there probably will be an online cutoff. We'll probably post that. I just need to talk to them and find out what the reality is of like, okay, how quickly can you actually get these out if we went to the Monday before?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Something like that. Because we want to make sure people get them, so if they're traveling or something, they don't have to worry. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up, and I'll call them tomorrow and do it. But worst case scenario, if something were to happen where it didn't get mailed out or they never received it and they have a receipt or something like that, we would have available on site. The cool thing about this whole thing, like I said, is that it's not California. We don't have the 30,000 people, the craziness. We have regular people. We can take time to fix stuff on site, and work with people a little bit more one-on-one where we can't do that there.
I think also because the show, it's basically, technically now it's kind of a Friday till Sunday situation for there's also like a relaxed sense of urgency. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh shit, we got to be there by 10, because we got to leave by 5. And then you know what I mean? So everybody can kind of, come at their own pace. And it's going to create much more of a relaxed vibe, I think. So.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. Absolutely. That's a great point, is that, especially if you're camping. You don't. I mean, we get people at Born Free. That's why we had to lock the gates all the way out in the main road, quarter mile down. Is that they get there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're just sitting on their bike. I'm like, go out there. We'll wake. We get woken up by a bunch of bikes. Like, what are you guys doing? They're like, well, we just rode here from Canada. I'm like, well, goddamn, God bless you, thank you, but the show doesn't open for 7.5 hours. Oh yeah, we know. We want to get here early. So like in Texas with this, like you don't need to do that, right? Yeah. The show opens at 10. We'll certainly let people in earlier. As soon as we're ready to go, we'll open the gates. We don't want to hold anybody hostage. We're not trying to create some line like some nightclub out front. Like get everybody in, get them having fun. But you don't have to get there that early, especially if you're camping, because you got all day, all night, and the next day. We know Sunday's going to be very relaxed because it's hard to pull off 2 full days of a show, especially when you're camping. Mm-hmm. Born Free California, we got to send them home at 5 o'clock. So when they're raring to come back the next day. But you party all night, and you're all tired, hungover, like you're not dying to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and start looking at bikes. Yeah. But so we know Sunday will be more relaxed. Probably won't be as big of a day, but it's there, so folks could still come see bikes, see the Wall of Death, custom stuff, San Diego custom show. All the things we're doing. Still have a great time. So you don't need to feel like, oh fuck, I got to get there, I'm not getting in. That is not the case.
And did you guys do like special merch and everything for this year's event to where people will be able to get like a Born Free Texas shirt and things like that? Yeah, we did some Born Free Texas shirts. We did those barracks bags and canteens because we felt like that would be a good little, like, you ride up and put all your shit in the bag and then the canteen, fill it up with booze or whatever you want. It's just fun. Those are just little tchotchkes. We did do trophies for all the awards, and I actually did them for the races too. So we'll have more awards to give out, which again are all done in fun. There is no judging criteria. There's no bullshit, looking at nuts and bolts and stuff. It's just, we'll probably find some people like yourself, like, hey, go pick out these 3 awards for us or something like that. Whoever wants to do it, and we'll have a good time with it. We got some great bands. Mothership's headlining 8 Shit Days. There's some country stuff, some fun stuff. But at night, like we talked about, like, we're going to have this little stage going on with you and Danger Dan and stuff. Like if you're a musician and
play the jug, the harmonica, the guitar, sing, dance, and you want to go up there, absolutely do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
We want to have that feel, that camp out, feel.
I think Dan's just going to be getting back from some of his trip to South America, like the week of.
I think like the day before.
Yeah, fucking wild, man.
So I don't know, I know he's a wild man. I know, he'll do whatever he does, but I'm just throwing it out there. If somebody's listening and you're going to camp and you're a musician or you want to have fun, like bring your shit with you.
Yeah.
And just, I've been to those kind of things. There's not very many of them out there, but the most fun I ever had was at a little bike camp out thing, and the dudes start playing music and everybody's singing and shit. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
And I remember that, very vividly. So yeah, main thing is we want to get that out there. Is everybody's welcome to come. I have to throw this out there, which I don't want to do, but want to get it out there. If somebody's listening, we can't do the club colors. Period. It's a negative thing, and I get it. And we appreciate and respect everybody's right to do whatever they want to do in this world. And I know a lot of those dudes in all kinds of clubs, and they're nothing but great people. I'm friends with people that are in various clubs, and it's just, but the site has made a point to not have club colors at their site, which people have checked. It's not us, it's them, but we're following their lead. We're respecting it. It's just going to make everything go a lot easier, and we just don't want to have any kind of problems. We also are promoting this as a family-friendly show. Obviously, camp out at night, who knows what's going down.
Yeah.
Probably not a good idea to have a 5-year-old there, but the show, the vibe, Born Free itself has always been a family-friendly show. We don't care if you're 5 years old or you're 80. We want you to come and have a good time, not be scared or afraid or, any bad vibes. We want to keep it fun, positive. So we welcome all those guys to come if they can, but we just can't allow the club colors.
Yeah, which is understandable. I mean, that's pretty much the going situation in a lot of larger events, across America. So it's not even just the Born Free events. Yeah.
It's everywhere, and I get it. It can be unfair in certain cases, especially with the way the world is today, where everybody's trying to make everybody included in everything, and you can identify with that you're a dog and you get the same rights as a normal person or whatever. I get all that, and we don't like it, but it's just the world we live in, and it's just, man, we just want everybody to come and have fun and not have any bad vibes or hard looks or, that's just not what we're about or what we want to promote. We want to promote fun, bikes, partying if that's your jam, and just getting together. And, this is still a good country and a good place to be. And we know Texas has got more pride than anywhere, and we want to see it, and, we want to be part of it.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, Mike, man, I think that we covered all the bases of this.
Hell yeah, dude. I appreciate it. I didn't even really cough that much. I told you earlier I had the COVID last week. I thought it was gone. The president said it doesn't exist, but I got it, not bad, and my whole family got it. We're all fine, which, I'm glad I got the light version because I know it hit a lot of people hard, but I've been coughing my ass off, so I feel pretty good about getting through this.
Oh, yeah, man, you did good, dude. I didn't even have to talk. That's always good. But no, dude.
Well, hopefully I didn't talk too much. I am on a bunch of cold medicine, so I'm all jacked up.
Y'all nasally and shit. But But no, man, I'm super excited, man. This event, it's kind of creeping up on us, but at the same time, it's starting to set in. Like, you're getting that pre, like jitters. Like, fuck, man, I can't wait. I can't. You know what I mean? Like a lot of shit going through your head. So I'm stoked you guys picked Texas, man. It means a lot to us here in Texas, and yeah, I'm stoked. I'm as excited as you guys are. So
we appreciate it, man. And we want, like I said, we want all the Texans to come and have fun and make it feel like it's their show, and they're a part of it. And that's important to us. And hopefully, whether it's this year or next or years after, that they are, long time, they keep coming back, whether they're vending, sponsor, and just riding a bike, or even just coming to hang out and have fun. We want those people. So it's their show. It's not just ours. It's everybody's. So yeah. Let's do it.
Cool. And once again, everybody, if you want to get tickets for any of this or grass passes, admission, all that, go to yellowrosecanyon.com. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And then if you want to if you don't know what Born Free is, and you want to learn more about it, or just see some of the things that we've done, or bikes that come to the show, and just get the vibe, our Instagram is where we do most of the business. Most of that stuff just falls over to Facebook, but I'm not really a Facebook guy. I don't get on there and talk and chat. It just posts there. So Instagram, it's just at Born Free Show. That's it. And you can have, if you have a question for us that doesn't revolve around the admission, because again, you could go to Yellow Rose Canyon. They're very good about answering all that. But if you have a question that we didn't cover, or you just want to engage somehow, I try to answer as many people as possible. And I'm on there a lot, posting photos and just talking about what we're doing. So feel free to hit us up there.
Cool.
And that's at Born Free Show.
At Born Free Show on the gram.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Everybody, I hope to see you guys out there, man. It's going to be a good time, and I don't think you want to miss the first of anything. I mean, if you heard the beginning of this podcast, he was talking about the beginning of Born Free California, and it sounds like the second show, it was the wild one that we all kind of are just going to have to listen to the folklore about now. But, be there for the first Born Free Texas. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be history in the making. So, all right, Mike, thank you, and I'm going to see you in a couple weeks, man.
All right, man. Hey, thanks so much for having me, dude. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, dude. All right.
All right. Take it easy.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that podcast, because I really did enjoy it myself. Hearing about the history of Born Free was an awesome experience. I hope to see you guys out there. I've said it so many times in this podcast and in the intro. I really do hope to see you guys there. There's plenty going on the week of Born Free. We have our pre-party along with Hang 'em High Customs and the DFW Dyna crew going down at Strokers Dallas, 7 p.m. on Thursday, October 20th. And that's a Thursday. And then Born Free on Friday, there is another pre-party out it's called Lugnuts Bar and Grill. It's out in Nacogdoches, Texas, which is not too far from the actual venue site. So a lot of people are going to be out there, and a lot of people are going to be camping Friday night. So, if you're trying to figure out what to do, come through, get you a camp spot Friday night. I know we're going to be out there doing, camping stuff and having a good time. And this is going to be a great event. I'm really stoked and excited to see everybody out there and be a part of this first time, Texas event. So anyway, please guys, check out our sponsors. We have a new sponsor. If you haven't heard, Arlen Ness is on board. They have an offer for you. Check it out. They got a lot of badass products. I run a lot of their products on my bike on the daily. So check them out. Along with Lucky Dave's, Lexin Moto, Thundermax EFI, Arlen Ness, Simpson motorcycle helmets. Thank all you guys. We're going to see you guys on the next podcast with the homie Chopsky. All right. Peace.